So I'm going to state some things that aren't warm and fuzzy, that aren't positive and full of love and light. These are things that I've been forced to experience, see, and now know. Before we get started, know that these things that I'm going to state are things that you can't unknow. So before you continue with this video, maybe you should check out some of the posts that I've made on the other video link, on the other video that's actually just a notification for a link. I've made many posts on that video. So if you're confused, or if you've never been to this channel, or it's been a while, maybe you should just read a couple of the posts, and then you'll know whether you want to continue listening to this video. Another thing, I am not responsible for any kind of mental breakdowns, seizures on the floor, existential crises, mental or spiritual crises, visits or trips to the psych ward, or any of that fucking noise. That's on you. These are things you can't unknow. So if you choose to stay, that's on you. Additionally, I use expletives liberally. So if that offends you, this is not the video for you. And if you are solid with your belief systems, and you aren't really questioning anything, again, probably not the video for you. The things that have been forced on me and done to me over a 10-year period, 24/7, 365, are abhorrent and vile. And the things that I am stating are things that I've learned from things that have been forced. So just jumping right into things. This planet is a parasitic farm, and has been for a very long time. It was forcibly made into a parasitic farm. There is a parasitic species that exists below ground. I'm sure you've heard of them. Many call them reptilians. They are parasites. They hybridize with some of the humans and have their hybrids in human vessels on the surface running things. Those would be some of the bigger groups that you've heard of on the planet, supposedly running things. So this is a farm in where they have been farming humans for a very long time. They use technology, the ancient AI system, to consistently rape, torture, and murder benevolent beings on this planet. They are raped for their high vibration and frequencies, their knowledge, their wisdom, their life force, their heart and healing energies. They're raped for many things. And then at the same time, while they're raping, they're also trying to destroy the being. You should know that reincarnation is just a recycling program. It's just a program. It's not necessary, but they have made humans believe that it's like a normal part of being in manifested creation, when that is not correct. They use the recycling program to fracture and fragment beings in consecutive lifetimes to destroy any kind of memory of the original trauma, the original perpetration, the original crime. There are other entities and groups that you've heard of. All of the groups that do the channelings offer the lip service word vomit. They find either very imbalanced human vessels who are generally well-meaning and benevolent and trusting, but carry some amount of imbalance within them. They use those ones to channel their lies. The technology, the AI system, and the cloning, they have massive cloning facilities underground, and they've done that also in just about, if not all, every prior civilization. Now, what's weird is I'm getting feedback from this speaker. Most of my electronics, if not all of them, have been hacked. And it sounds like, as I'm speaking into the speaker, that I'm talking into a walkie-talkie. That's the kind of feedback that I'm getting. And obviously, I've already revoked my consent for any malevolence of any kind, including malevolence masquerading as benevolence, to be anywhere near me, connected to me on my channel, or interfering with anything that I am connected to. Those are standing declarations. And all of my revocations of consent are posted on my channel, pretty much attached or connected to each and every post. So moving forward, they use the ancient AI system along with cloning and the artificial frequency fence surrounding this planet to forcibly obstruct and regress universal laws, as well as obstruct any true universal law manifested corrections and energies from entering here. They've been doing that for a very long time. They also use the technology to forcibly regress humanity, as well as on other planets and in other star systems. This is how the parasites operate. So they find a planet that has life. They pretty much invade. They try and mix to a certain degree amongst the inhabitants. They install an artificial frequency fence around that planet to obstruct true universal law correction, while they torture, rape, and murder and parasitize off of the inhabitants. So they're already forcibly regressing and obstructing universal laws, regressing entire races and civilizations, including what they've done here to humanity. At the same time, they're also obstructing true universal law correction. And continuing to torture, rape, and murder and parasitize here. So it's really not a fucking school, is it? The very universal laws that keep a universe in balance and balance the malevolence ratio in proportion to the benevolence ratio in a universe. It's the mediator, the corrector, the balancer. That's what universal laws is. It's a force that balances incorrection. Balance is wrong. If universal laws were truly being enforced on this planet, they would not be here. They would burn where they stand. They've been below ground torturing, raping, and murdering humans for a very long time. Along with their parasitic half-breed proxies on the surface, doing the same. If universal laws were truly being enforced here, and there was absolutely no fuckery, no manipulation, no impediment of universal laws, they would burn where they fucking stand. We would not still be doing this abhorrent, vile shit show. So that should be your first indication that there's some real fuckery going on with universal laws. That's what they use the frequency fence for, in combination with clones and technologies. They use the clones to forcibly rape and parasitize and siphon off of true benevolent beings here. Without your knowledge, without your consent. They also rape. They try to wear and use what they've raped from true benevolent beings here to try and evade extinction, to try and survive being exposed to universal laws directly, as they would not be able to do that. So in other words, they're raping from you, your inherent stuff, and then they're wearing and using what they've raped from you. While the entire time, number one, they're trying to swap you out with the clone, and number two, they're trying to destroy you. So they force high vibrations and frequencies that they've raped from true benevolent beings here. They force those through the fence. So the universe itself, well, I don't want to say it like that, but universal laws, any kind of balancing force in this universe, is receiving high vibrations and frequencies that say everything is hunky-dory here. There's no foul play. There's no fuckery. Everybody's great. Everything is just happy and rainbows and butterflies and unicorn farts down here, and there's nothing wrong. While at the same time, any incoming corrective energies and frequencies that universal laws is sending out is obstructed. So again, it's not a fucking school. It's not. Especially when the progress and all the learning and knowledge and wisdom that you've attained and done, all the healing work that you've done, is forcibly raped from you. And then they try to forcibly use the technology to regress you. With any school, at some point, generally, you graduate. And you move on to more complex, challenging material, or classes, or learning. You're not forcibly, once you graduate and get your diploma, that school generally doesn't then rape your diploma and try and wipe your mind and forcibly put you back in kindergarten. That's not how that works. But that's what they've been doing. And seeing as that the universe is at the end of its cycle, or one of the bigger cycles, and beings on this planet are starting to really wake up and figure out what's been being done here and forced here, and all of the massive atrocities that this species has forced onto humanity. They're trying to locate the most spiritually advanced ones, and those that, I'll say it like this, those that can see through the bullshit, those that can see what's really going on and what has been going on. Those are the ones that they're trying to forcibly annihilate. Basically, they're trying to murder evidence, walking, breathing evidence. And of course, there's other things that they are trying to accomplish or do, or have been planning to do. But it's not a fucking school. It's a parasitic farm in where they've been farming humans. And towards the evolution climax in every civilization, they do the same thing. They try and locate the most spiritually advanced and try and annihilate them. They don't want, they're trying to obstruct humans from realizing the actual truth of things. Because when a spiritually inclined being starts to really advance and excel in their spiritual learning, in their healing, and really start coming into their psychic faculties, and start actually physically manipulating physical reality and doing other things that they cannot control, is when they pull out the frequency weaponry. They pull out the organized stalking. They pull out the remote neural monitoring and the EEG heterodyning and the cloning torture. Now, if the universe itself was running a love-based operating system, and it was either neutral or at least benevolent and or at least neutral, it would be assisting the benevolent beings here. When a being can hold unconditional love directly from the heart chakra and extend it for miles outward, along with being able to manipulate physical reality and manifest things and actually affect the malevolence in ways that they did not expect. You would think that the universe itself would back that being, would then step in to assist with protection of that being. But instead, that the universe itself seems to be further assisting the malevolence and the parasites to continue to try and harm and rape with attempted murders, that same being. It's assisting parasites. Parasites running amok with technology, regressing and obstructing universal laws, and assisting those parasites in trying to torture, rape, and murder benevolent beings here, from being in their already inherent higher frequencies and vibrations, holding love, radiating love, assisting their fellow man, assisting other benevolent, true benevolent beings try to raise their frequency and vibration, try and shift higher the frequency and vibration of the energy and the energy of the planet, the energetic and etheric grids. So when that's not happening, when that being has already reached those heights or those spiritual stages, at that point, it's for, like, at that point, the universe itself should be stepping in to, especially because it's all being forced via technology. It's not organic. It's being forced via technology. So at that point, the universe should be stepping in and removing the malevolence, removing the technologies, or at least deactivating them, or making it to where they don't work, then basically supporting the being so that being can come into their full abilities and faculties and fully protect themselves, not have malevolent parasitic entities using technology to try and obstruct that being from protecting themselves. So when the universe itself is not assisting the benevolent beings and is actually assisting that parasitic infection, that leads to bigger implications and bigger questions. And considering all of this, what the parasites have been doing for many millennia without any kind of benevolent intervention of any kind, then that must be questioned. Now, there have been benevolent beings that have incarnated here to try and assist. And what happens to those beings? So if the universe were really on board with the concepts of holding love, radiating love, assisting other benevolent beings come into their full potential, if the universe itself was really interested in that, it would have done something about the parasites long ago, right? 1 + 1 is 2. And in addition to that, as these parasites have done this on multiple planets in different star systems and are again trying to do it in this one, the universe nor any true benevolent creator has done anything about those ones, right? You have entire planets that have been annihilated, destroyed, entire races annihilated, entire star systems greatly affected. Nothing was done about those. So here we are on this planet. Many beings here came from other places. Now, did they come here of their own volition, of their own free will, or were they stolen and brought here by force? And if they were brought here by force, we know what that means. This is a parasitic farm. So what does that say about the universe? the universe is assisting malevolence. The universe is assisting parasites. Is it inorganic or organic? There seems to be a lot of AI in this, well, maybe not everywhere, I don't know about everywhere else, but in this galaxy there seems to be a lot of AI. And what runs the AI are parasites. So, like, would you say that the universe just doesn't have any idea what's going on? It's just so whatever entity or being or beings operate and run this universe, like, I don't know if it can be stated that they just don't know what's going on, or that the universe itself just doesn't have any clue about what's going on. I think that's a lie. I don't think that's accurate. So the only other conclusion would be the universe is assisting, is complicit, is in on it. And I've pondered the question, is the universe parasitic? Does this universe use its unhealed fragments, all these other parasitic races and species? Is it using its fragments and the AI system to systematically torture, rape, and murder benevolent life in this universe? Like, what's going on? Like, why hasn't the universe or any larger benevolent, true benevolent force come forward to intervene here? Because they sure didn't on those other planets, for those other races. He sure didn't. Or it, whatever it is. And here we are on this planet, and there are some very horrific, abhorrent, vile things being forcibly perpetrated on humanity against the revocation of our consent. All the while, they're forcibly regressing and obstructing universal laws, preventing true universal law correction and remedy, while they continue to torture, rape, and murder. Like, what is that? What the fuck is that? It's not a school. It's a parasitic farm. What does that mean for the rest of the universe? What about all the other stars, races, and planets that have been annihilated? Doesn't seem like the universe helped them out. Sure doesn't. And because they're doing that with universal laws, how can you expect any race to evolve when they're being forcibly hacked into with frequency weaponry, and universal law correction is being obstructed, and they're also obstructing and regressing universal laws and regressing entire races? Like, how is a race supposed to try and evolve out of that, when this is a universe based or run on frequency, vibration, light, sound, energy, and resonance? How is it that there's been no true benevolent intervention here? Where are the true benevolent beings? Like, if they're doing this to entire races, on planets in entire star systems, if I were to extrapolate, I would have to, my line of thought would be that the universe itself is also parasitizing and cannibalizing large creator gods, large creator beings, and then going after the children. That's what this looks like. That's what it seems like. And it's starting to feel that way. I don't like perceiving. There are some things that I know based from experience. There are other things, like, is the universe parasitic? Some of those questions are, that's how I'm, based on my prior experiences and using logic and extrapolation, those are conclusions that I'm coming to. Who wants to come to those kinds of conclusions, right? Those are abhorrent. Now, there's a lot of beings here that choose to remain in denial. Personally, I'm not able to do that. There are, I'm sure, many beings who have the capability of doing that. But because of the experiences that have been forced on me and the things that I've been forced to see, I just don't. I don't hide in denial. And I have a whole list of questions in one of the posts that I've made on that other video link. A whole list of questions to be asking those supposed benevolent races or beings that have been channeling their lip service vomit to humanity for years on end, without any kind of actual, true, manifested correction of any kind that addresses the parasitic species below ground, that addresses the forced obstruction and regression of universal laws and universal law correction, that forcibly addresses, or that, not forcibly, but that addresses the cloning facilities, what's done with clones, why they use cloning, the cloning torture. Like, I'm not hearing those things being, thrown down the pike in those channelings. You would think that those would be very, 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 very important things to know about what's going on here and what they're really doing to humanity. While the entire time they're talking about their love and their light bullshit, and just keep waiting. Just keep waiting. We've got ships all around the planet just waiting to assist you. They're going to be helping soon. Don't worry about it. They're going to be helping you soon. Really? We could have used that help about 10,000 years ago. Yeah. So, and why would they still be waiting? If they're here to help, you know what that means? If they're here to help, that means they know what the fuck is going on. And if they know what the fuck is going on, they sure as fuck wouldn't be waiting to help. They sure wouldn't. They would be assisting right the fuck away, right? They would be dealing with the cloning centers. They would be dealing with the reptilians. They would be deactivating the frequency fence so that true universal laws can be fully enforced on this planet, which would basically annihilate all of the malevolence on this planet and probably in this galaxy immediately. They would be immediately incinerated, burn where they stand. So why wouldn't any true benevolent, supposedly true benevolent race that's here to assist. Number one, they could be, because universal laws are being hijacked or fucked with and obstructed, one thing they could be doing is actually moving all of the parasite violations, the parasitics, all of their violations to universal laws directly. Pass over the frequency fence and move their violations, send their violations directly to universal laws. That would help override the frequency fence. Are they doing that? No. Is it something relatively, for a higher spiritually evolved being, that would be something relatively simple, that wouldn't require that much effort, that they could have been doing for years here to better assist humanity without directly involving themselves? Why haven't they? Why haven't they been doing that? They could also be deactivating or helping to disable the frequency fence, because the full enforcement of universal laws is going to take care pretty much immediately the parasitic infection, almost immediately. So why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they do that? What kinds of excuses and lies are they peddling? Like, if you were to ask them those questions directly, what kind of lies do you think you're going to get back? What kind of evasion or half-assed truth bullshit do you think they'd be vomiting your way? As to why they just couldn't possibly take 5 minutes out of their fucking busy-ass day and move some violations directly to universal laws, bypassing the fence, and getting universal laws fully enforced in here. Like, why aren't they doing that? They could have ended the parasitic infection probably all by themselves long ago. So the question is, the million-dollar question, why aren't they? It's because they're parasites. It's because they're benefiting off of what is initially directly tortured, raped, and murdered from benevolent beings here. The other part of that is all these supposed benevolent races claim to be residing in higher frequencies, in higher dimensions. If they're not helping here, and they haven't been helping here, and they're residing in higher frequencies truly, how do you think they're doing that? Is it maybe off of the true benevolent high vibration frequencies and energies that are forcibly raped, tortured, and murdered from the benevolent beings embodied here? Are those races using technology? Are those races using clones? And if they are using technology in clones, what are those used for exactly? If you were to ask them where their energy comes from, if it's self-contained, self-sustained, does their energy in any way, shape, or form have originations within benevolent beings who've been tortured, raped, and murdered? And possibly uploaded to an AI system. So is what their energy, are they wearing it? Are they using it? Or is it inherent within them? Is it a race that has to use technology in order to sustain themselves? Well, then your answer should be somewhat clear. They're parasites. They're parasitizing off of benevolent life here indirectly. So are they really helping? Do they really have intent to help here? No. They'll tell you all day that they do. It's to stall. It's to keep you busy. It's to keep you filled with hopium. It's to keep you stalled and ignorant. To keep you just waiting. To try and keep you thinking that it's your fault, that it's just humanity as a collective that just can't get it together. They're just having a hard time coming together, holding more love, blah, 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 you know, on and on with their lies. That's all that is. It's mind fuck. It's stalling. It's to try and, it's a stall tactic to try and keep you from actually looking beyond them, realizing that they're all parasites, that they're lying at all of their orifices, including both sides of their mouth, and they're expecting you to just continue believe in the lies while they continue to torture, rape, and murder here. It's to keep you from figuring out that they're really parasites and that they've been conning you and fucking you for a very long time. So I would suggest, or if you have time, maybe take a look at the list of questions that I've posted and spend some time asking those supposed benevolent beings that you've been working with or that are claiming to assist you, and start asking them your questions and put all of your automatic reverence and respect on the back burner, or just don't bring it to the table at all, and start asking those hard, logical, critical questions of those beings. Because I'll tell you, you're going to find out really fucking fast what they're not. You're going to find out real fast what those beings are not. They're not what they claim to be. They're not doing what they claim to be doing. You're going to find out real fast. It shouldn't take long. Start asking them 2 or 3 of those questions. It shouldn't take long. Maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes for you to discern who you're dealing with. Yeah. And try and keep the universal perspective of what's really going on here. This is a planet that's been compromised. The parasitic species here parasitizes and cannibalizes up until this point, in every prior civilization, those inhabitants. It's trying to do that in this one. It's trying to rape you of your evolution. It's trying to rape you of your inherent stuff and then try to destroy you and try and swap you out with a clone. That's what's going on. And that they've hijacked universal laws. And that they're obstructing universal law remedy and correction. So where does that leave us? It's not sounding or looking too good. I don't even like to think about it, but because of what's been forced on me, it's led me to bigger and bigger and bigger questions, along with the experiences that I've had that tell me specific things about those races. And right now, anytime I make a post, and I haven't done a video in a very long time because they always have their witches try and force magic. If I'm like actually showing my face, which I never had a problem with in the past personally, I didn't mind showing my face, but once they started sending their witches to do magic on my videos and the effects of those things, well, there's a reason why I've made all my videos private. And even if I upload this one, I'm not sure I'm going to continue to make videos. But seeing the amount of people, if I, in my feed, my YouTube feed, there always seems to be a lot of ascension videos and a lot of going into 5D and love and all of that, all of those ascension videos and channeled videos and all of that. They come up in my feed a lot. So just clicking on a few of them and reading the comments, I don't necessarily listen to the entire video. I might skip through it, but you know, you see one, you pretty much get the gist of all of them. So I'm looking at comments, the kinds of comments, you know, just coming from the public that's visiting those videos, what the temperature is. I'm trying to gauge temperature of where beings are really at. And they're, at least the ones leaving comments, are obviously the comments I leave, the statements I leave are in contradiction, opposite of the ones that they're leaving, but what I'm seeing are beings who are really believing what's in the video. Like, they're really believing what's being thrown at them. They're not really seeing the truth of what's going on. Anyways, I don't know that I'll continue making videos. But I did want to state some of the things that I know as to what's being forced on this planet, what's going on, what they're doing. Some of their goals. Basically, that parasitic species is trying to, in every civilization, they try and clone more and more and more benevolent life. Right? It's called harvesting. They're trying to harvest. They rape, exploit, or they exploit, rape, and then try to harvest. And they try to rape that civilization of their evolution. And they're trying to do that in this one. Personally, I've had enough. I'm fucking done with this planet. I'm done with parasites, and I'm done with this universe. Because it seems to me that this universe is parasitic. And it seems to me this universe is assisting, knowingly assisting parasites and the AI system to systematically torture, rape, and murder benevolent life in this universe and obstruct true universal law correction. Like, even if they had, like, let's just say they started doing that, right? Like, maybe in the last 10,000 years they started doing that. That gives the universe itself plenty of time to recognize that there's some fuckery going on in this universe and in itself, and that it needs to be addressed, right? And at that point, the universe should have stepped in and assisted in the enforcement of universal laws, should have assisted in the removal of the parasitic infection. And it hasn't done that. And it can't say that it's just not aware of those things. Like, it just can't say that. Not when you have like entire planets being destroyed and annihilated, and entire star systems fucked with. Like, the universe can't say it just doesn't know what's going on. It's had plenty of time to correct, and it's chosen not to. And it's been assisting parasitic species in malevolence to try and torture, rape, and murder and take out benevolent life in this universe. But before it does, it tries to parasitize off of them first. Like, that doesn't seem, those aren't benevolent actions. So it doesn't really necessarily seem like a benevolent universe. It seems like a parasitic universe trying to keep its own ass in existence. And the way that it found to do that is figuring out a way with the AI system to parasitize and cannibalize benevolent life that emerges in this universe. And of course, that leads to other bigger existential questions like what's outside of this universe? Is it just other universes? Is there any like actual true benevolent governing force outside this universe? Because it sure doesn't fucking seem like it. Like, then there's the question of organic and or inorganic. I've been up to this point in the knowing that this is an organic universe and that we have free will. That hasn't been working out like that up to this point. I don't want to be connected to any kind of AI system or technologies. I've refused consent. I've refused consent for being murdered, including attempted murders. I've refused consent for any kind of technologies or astral realms to be connected to any part of my being. I've refused consent for any connections to the astral realm by force. I've refused consent for any kind of clones, artificial entities, clone surrogates, clone projections, clone encephalographs to be in any way, shape, or form connected to any part of my being at any time for any reason, ever. And they continue to try and force those things. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of things that I'm not down with and that I don't agree with, that I didn't sign up for in this on this planet and in this universe. I didn't sign up for those things. So I'm going to need to find the exits and take the totality of my being, including my physical body, with me. Because universal law, correction, and remedy is intentionally being fucking obstructed. That's not allowed. That's just not allowed. And it's not being corrected by the universe itself. That's not a good sign. That's like, you really got to look at that, and that can't be going on. I mean, parasites are being allowed and enabled to run amok with frequency weaponry, hacking into beings, and obstructing and regressing universal laws and entire races, and obstructing any kind of benevolent correction or remedy. I think humans here really got to start looking at the truth of things instead of trying to positive away that shit or remain in denial about what the fuck's really going on here. It needs to be fucking dealt with and addressed. Because of what's happened with other planets and star systems, I don't necessarily know that there's a larger benevolent force that's tending to things, that's adulting, right? So if there isn't a larger benevolent force that's adulting, at least anywhere near here, that means that the rest of us are gonna have to pull up our big boy pants and our big girl pants, and we're gonna have to deal with some shit. Yeah. Unless you all enjoy what they've done with the place. Like, do you enjoy being food for parasites? Like, I don't know. I mean, is that something you signed up for? Did you agree to that? Did you agree to have all your progress forcibly raped from you and then regressed back to kindergarten in every single lifetime? Like, I don't know. Did you sign a form? Did you agree to that? Were you even informed? Were you given informed consent anywhere along the line that parasites were going to be forcing that on you? That they were going to be obstructing any kind of correction or remedy coming from universal laws? Like, did they tell you when you got here? Did they pull you aside and say, hey, listen, there's some other details that weren't covered in your itinerary before you got here? I'm just saying, if you're not down for that shit, if you didn't sign up for that, if you've had fucking enough, and you have the eyes to see and you can see what the fuck's going on here and what they've been doing, what they've done, the same thing that they've done on other planets and other star systems to other races, if you keep that universal perspective, that does kind of help to help put to keep things in perspective. Because it's easy to get stuck in the everyday grind and kind of fall back into a smaller, like a not so expanded perception of things and get wrapped up into into other things. What I'm saying is, I think if true humans here could, true benevolent beings here could keep a universal perspective, we would have more consistency and more momentum in dealing with the parasitic infection, at least on this planet. But because of what they're doing with the cloning, and they've been doing it in most of the prior civilizations, and even off planet, and because they have operations off planet as well. But seeing as how they're trying to forcibly try to swap benevolent life out with trying to swap beings out with clones on this planet currently, there's a lot of beings who there's a lot of human vessels, but there aren't humans in there. They've either been swapped out, cloned out, possessed, taken over, or they just checked out, right? Because they couldn't handle maybe they found out some things that they couldn't handle, right? Like, there's a lot of reasons that could have occurred. But there's a lot of fuckery and a lot of things being forced via technology that most humans don't have any idea about. So I think and because of what they're doing with AI now and how they're trying to apply it, and just like what they're telling in a public venue, what they're telling people on the public stage is always like behind the scenes, or underneath the surface is going to be everything else that they've already been doing with the technology for years prior. So whatever applications they're telling you about now, they've already been working on those for like the last 25 years. So if you were to extrapolate, how advanced is the tech? What do you think they're doing with that tech? With absolutely no oversight in all of your tax money. What do you think's going on there? Seeing as how these are malevolent entities and human, malevolence within a human vessel that are completely insane and devolving. What do you think they're doing with that tech without any kind of oversight, while the entire time they're obstructing universal law, correction, and remedy? Right? If you were to think on that for only like 2 minutes, that's, I'm sure you can extrapolate on what could be possibly, it probably is, going on. So what I'm saying to you is, it's not getting, at this juncture, and it doesn't seem like there's too much of a true benevolent assistance. And I can see the way that they're trying to take things. I can see what they've done with the place, and I can see what other plans, decor plans, they plan on trying to implement. So I would say now is probably a good time to be taking stock of where you stand in things, what your perception of things is, how much you're willing to fight, how much of the truth are you willing to acknowledge, how much denial are you going to choose to stay in, if you're going to fight or submit. And I think it's a good time to be taking stock of those things. And the only solution I'm seeing currently is, or at least a couple of solutions, everybody needs to be pulling anything that they think that has been raped from them back from all clones, from all AI systems, from all astral realms, from all parasites that are trying to wear your stuff, back from everywhere in this universe. Be pulling and yanking back all of your stuff, especially back from all clones. Now, here's the thing, when you start doing that, or if you start doing that, and you start to feel resistance, you shouldn't be feeling resistance. It means there are entities that have been wearing your stuff, and when you go to pull your stuff back, it's them trying to keep you from doing that. You might, some of you, if you do try that exercise, you might actually start realizing and finding out some stuff that you, number one, you didn't know was going on, and number two, that you're going to have to fucking deal with immediately. And that you are now in battle. So that's one of the main things that needs to be done. definitely, along with that, making sure that you're extracting any energies and frequencies and bodies that have been forcibly raped from you, uh, back from back from the totality of the AI system. The other solution is that more of us, more of the ones who are, you know, have gone through a bit more of our spiritual growth and learning, that are more spiritually advanced currently, we need to be, as a group, demanding to the universe itself that all universal laws must be fully and completely and permanently enforced in here, and that the frequency fence be immediately terminated and or at least deactivated to allow for complete universal law enforcement in here. And as a group, we should also be working together to do that ourselves, in case the universe, in case you get an answer that you either didn't expect or didn't want to hear. Okay, we need to, as a group, be using our psychic faculties and abilities to be terminating and deactivating the frequency fence around this planet, so that all universal laws can be fully and permanently enforced on this planet and within this planet, devoid of fuckery, manipulation, impediment, sabotage, devoid of all of that. That's where we can start. And as far as those other supposed benevolent beings, if they were really benevolent and they had really truly wanted to help, they would have already been doing all of that. The moving things to moving all of their violations to universal laws directly. They would have already been doing that, because the more spiritually advanced that do that, and it's actually going to universal laws with that kind of a high vibration and frequency, could easily override the frequency fence and break it and terminate it, fry it, right? That's something the other supposed high frequency vibration, supposedly benevolent beings could have been doing this entire time, and not even have to interfere directly, which they haven't. They're just, they're just parasitizing. But if they were truly wanting to help, that would be a way to do that indirectly. Have they been doing that? No. They don't want universal laws enforced because it means their ass. And they're complicit. They're in on it. They're also feeding off of humanity. So, I think I'll kind of wrap this up. You can only run an engine backwards for so long before it fucking implodes and or explodes. Something must be done. It doesn't look like there's any actual true benevolent assistance that's going to be intervening anytime fucking soon. So that means it's on us, isn't it? That means we have to keep a bigger universal perspective and come into your higher, maybe try and work from your higher capacities as like a universal being or a galactic being, your higher faculties, and be taking on the responsibility of removing a parasitic infection before it tries to rape you of your evolution and tries to continue raping you of your inherent stuff. Something's got to be done. especially if the corruption and the imbalance runs that high, right? If the corruption runs as high as the universe itself, it means you better be figuring out a way out of here. I think we all need to, I've tried to facilitate it in the past, but try and have like a whole group of beings who've been on the circuit, who haven't been turned, and who are not disillusioned or sucked into the BS. Those who have been on the circuit in the past, or have done, those who have done their spiritual work, come forward, and we need to form some kind of a council and start discussing bigger topics. Start discussing the actual fucking problem of the parasitic infection and the obstruction and regression, the intentional obstruction and regression of universal laws and universal law correction and remedy. And have a discussion about all these supposed races that keep offering their version of help, which isn't help at all. And questioning their true loyalties and their true intent. I think it needs to be done, and that needs to be done immediately. So I think I'll go ahead and wrap up the video, and just some things to think about. I guess you're welcome to leave a comment. I'm not quite sure why you would. If you do leave a comment, depending on what that comment is, I may or may not respond, and I might just fucking delete it. If I think you're a perp or somebody who shouldn't be on my channel, malevolence, if I think that you're malevolent or that you're gaslighting, I'm just going to delete it. I'm not even going to bother. So, but if you're benevolent and you have like a true comment or a true interest or question or what have you, then I guess you could leave that if you want. Or I might close the comment section altogether. I don't necessarily know that there needs to be any kind of comments or responses like written. Like, I'm trying to imagine what some of those comments might be. I don't know what they would be. So I don't know if I will or not. I may or may not. I don't know. So I'll wrap up the video here, and do your best to pull up your big girl pants and your big boy pants and find your balls, and really start try to look at things from a universal perspective, and try and figure out what the fuck you're going to do about it. Your part, right? It's just for your part, what are you going to do about it? I don't think we have years to be dicking around and procrastinating. You can see where that's gotten us to this point. I would say procrastinating and stalling, that's how we've ended up here. So I would say continuing forward in that manner is probably not fucking wise. It's not a good idea. I think things need to be fucking addressed immediately. So I think there's a whole bunch of things that true, sane, truly benevolent beings need to fucking think on and figure out what they're going to do. So for now, try and take care and remain sane and do the best you can to protect yourself. All right.